Okay, answering the second video. First, he goes about that the second Samuel account how Nathan comes and tells David that he got the master's wives into his bosom and stuff, and then Shazoolos talks about the custom in the ancient world, how the king gave to the new king even his wives and stuff. Well, Saul was dead, so he didn't really just give his kingdom; he died. Now, he says that there's no account that he would have taken those wives. Well, Nathan does say that you got the master's wives into thine bosom. And then if we go to 2 Samuel chapter 5, verse 13, it says that, and David took him more concubines and wives out of Jerusalem after he was come from Hebron. So and yet more children was born to him. And it never says anything bad about that. So before that bad event occurred with Bathsheba, he took him wives. And nothing was wrong about that according to the Bible. It doesn't say so. Nathan came, condemned him for the murder he did, and said that he received these master's wives and he would have received such and such and even more if he would have just been faithful. So nevertheless, that is your interpretation how you want to take it, but the Bible makes it clear anyway that David had many wives, and he never condemns him for that situation, whatever it is. So then Shazoolos talks about how God never speaks about these polygamy things favorably in the Bible. Not really. It never mentions in the bad light the polygamy. It's never condemned in the Bible, not once. One thing is condemned, King Solomon and his wives that were taken out of Israel. That's the only condemnation that is connected with the polygamy. All the other marriages were never, not even a hint that there would be something wrong about it. So then he talks about that how God also fixed battles with people sometimes. Things happen in the old times that we shouldn't go and have a battle today or anything. But that's a bad comparison, because first of all, if God commands something, then we should do it. Even if God would command us to go and kill somebody, we should have to do it. But I don't think he would do it exactly the same way today in these times and specific situations. But still, God commanded Joseph Smith concerning polygamy. When Joseph Smith asked about these Old Testament polygamies, that, hey, what is this? And that's when God revealed him about the polygamy law. So then he says that Jesus said that how God allowed divorce in the Old Testament times because of the hardness of their hearts. And then he says that this is the same with polygamy as well. Well, no, it never says that. Polygamy is never mentioned in that light. So that's completely your own delusion, to be honest. Then he gives the account again, how people of Israel wanted to receive a king instead of a prophet to lead them. And how God was like, all right, give them the king because they asked for it. Let me prove the point for them. But hey, there's nothing in polygamy about that. There's never anything about the people requesting, we want to have a polygamy. We're hard in our hearts. Let us have a polygamy. And then God is, okay, we can have a polygamy. Nothing like that is ever even indicated in the Bible. Then we have Isaiah chapter 4 criticized. But how it talks about judgment, if you take the context, if you read the chapter before that, about the different bad things happening to people, many people fall in the sword and all kinds of desolate things, people become desolate, all kinds of bad things happen to people. And then chapter 4 starts after that. And in that day 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel, only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach. So somebody might think that, okay, this is connected with those bad things happening. But then, if you read the next verse straight away after this, what the women did, in that day shall the branch of the Lord be beautiful and glorious, and the fruit of the earth shall be excellent and comely for them that are escaped of Israel. And it shall come to pass that he that is left in Zion and he that remaineth in Jerusalem shall be called holy, even every one that is written among the living in Jerusalem. So these women were left. They were part of these people. And they shall be called holy. Obviously, all these bad things, when they come to pass, women are left because men die in the battles and stuff like that. So they are trying to get rid of their reproach, because obviously being unmarried was reproach in Israel. So these women are not doing anything bad. It's just the outcome of all the wars and pestilence and those things, that many women will have to take hold of one man to be married to one man. And when that happens, those multiple marriages and stuff, the good things also start happening. So you can be connecting to both situations. And so obviously, I don't know what's going to happen, to be honest, but still, it shows that the Bible shows that in the future, the plural marriage might be possible again, but I don't really care, to be honest. I want to have my own girlfriend, to be honest. Correct point Shazulo gives is that God didn't create Adam and then other women for him, only Adam and Eve. Yes, and that is the general rule also in the LDS Church. But there are times when God might allow multiple marriages for one guy. For example, to raise the seed, as in the Book of Mormon mentioned, that there are only situations when God can command that. So the general rule is monogamy. Then Shazoolos talks about how Mormons used to believe in the past that plural marriage was necessary for exaltation in the salvation, basically. And that now Mormons don't believe in it anymore, but it used to be, and that's false. The Doctrine and Covenants also, and other places, it says that the new and everlasting covenant is necessary for exaltation, but the new and everlasting covenant is not plural marriage. Yes, plural marriage was explained with that as an appendix, but it's not required for that, but it's possible in that new and everlasting covenant. So it's not required, and it was never required in the first place either, because so many Mormons did not have more than one wife. So were they denied of their exaltation according to the church in those days? I don't think so. Then he goes to talk about the Book of Mormon being completely void of any information about this plural marriage and all these things. And the Bible also. Well, the Bible is void about any information concerning the new and everlasting covenant, because it was new and everlasting covenant. So it was a new covenant. It wasn't part of the Old Testament. It was modern revelation about the topic. And the Book of Mormon talks about the part where God says that I, the Lord, will command if I want to raise seed unto myself. So that's what defines the Book of Mormon idea about polygamy. Only if God requires you, then you can, or if he commands, you can have it. And Joseph Smith was commanded. So, okay, then came 1 Corinthians chapter 7 that was used to justify that actually Christians should avoid actually marriage and stuff. But let's read what it says. The first verse says, Now concerning the things whereof ye wrote unto me, it is good for a man not to touch a woman. So does it mean that Paul is saying we should not touch a woman? No, it says, concerning the things whereof ye wrote unto me, it is good for a man not to touch a woman. So those guys wrote to him. He just quotes them. This is what you guys wrote to me. It's not good for a man to touch a woman. So he's quoting their own letter that he received. And then he goes to discuss the topic. To avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife, and let every woman have her own husband. Obviously, fornication is not a good thing. But then, this chapter 7 is actually one of these chapters in the Bible that I personally have a little bit hard time accepting it 100%. And the reason comes in verse 6. But I speak this by permission and not of commandment. So he's speaking these things by his own permission, not by commandment. So he's not giving any commandment there. Then verse 12. But to the rest speak I, not the Lord. So he's telling there also that, hey, I'm speaking, not the Lord. So this chapter 7 is a little bit kind of scripture that should not be necessarily taken to our day in the same way, because he's speaking his own opinions and not the word of the Lord. So, nevertheless, the church fathers did not condemn Abraham, as I already quoted in my other videos. So you should check that video if you haven't, because those church father quotes are similar to LDS teaching, what they think about polygamy generally. So my conclusion is that there are as many interpretations of scripture as there are people. So you can try to make your explanations about the Old Testament as much as you will, but the data as a raw does not condemn polygamy. And so the Latter-day Saints use that as an example, that polygamy, there was a time when polygamy was clearly practiced and it was never condemned, and that God ordered it, commanded it to be practiced again. For whatever reasons, we don't know fully those things, but now it's not practiced anymore because it's not necessary today. Thus, the Latter-day Saints cannot be proven as unchristian or false religion just because of on the grounds of polygamy alone. That's just hands down easily. There's no case against us.